What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Vaping Daily. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Modfather tank from Mad Modder. I picked this one up from Mohawk Vapors, mohawkvapors.com. They normally don't look like this. This one's a little special. It has the acrylic, the blue acrylic tank glass, as well as the drip tip, which is a kit that they sell separately. Normally you would just get the clear tank and a black drip tip on the with the black or stainless steel versions. So yeah, I wanted to dive into just kind of the specs of this guy today and kind of give you the full rundown on it because I'm really impressed by this guy. All right, so the Modfather tank is a 30 millimeter tank. It's a big old fucking thing. May not be the ideal size for every vapor, but I gotta say that as complicated as this tank can be at times, it's kind of worth the trouble that it puts you through, in my opinion. But I have been vaping for a pretty long time now, a little over 3 years, and I have a pretty good understanding of building and problems that can occur during. So the intermediate to beginner vapor might have a little bit more problems with this tank, but don't let that deter you. It's still a great piece of machinery, and it really, really does perform. So what you're looking at with the Modfather is, like I said before, it's a 30 millimeter tank with direct airflow to the coils. So it's similar to like an RDTA, like the limitless RDTA type of thing, except for it's reverse. Normally you'd see the tank would be on the bottom and the build deck would be on the top. With this guy, I don't know if you can really see, but the coils are right there. You can see them right through the airflow holes right there. And the juice actually travels down a channel and then under and up so that it can still be a bottom fed juice system while staying enclosed. And what that does for you is it actually allows you to tilt it all over without leaking all over the place, as well as it gives you a little bit more build space than you would typically see in an RDTA, because most of the time that deck is actually up in here sharing that space with the juice reservoir. So it's a little different as far as that's concerned, but it's really, really cool the way that it's engineered, in my opinion. It's a full stainless steel tank, so this isn't like an aluminum or a zinc or anything like that. This is full stainless steel, so it's a heavy guy. It's, I mean, really fucking heavy. It's one of the heavier pieces that I've handled as far as vape gear goes. It's about the weight of a mod, to be honest with you. The new 80 watt and like 100 watt mods that are coming out, it's pretty equivalent in weight to that. It has this massive 9 milliliter juice capacity. This tank is absolutely huge, and I'll kind of take the top part off so you can see exactly how much space you're working with. Like I said before, because the build deck is on the bottom half, you just have this huge space for juice in there, and it's really nice if you're the type of person that doesn't want to have to fart around with that every 5 minutes. So yeah, you can kind of see there, you got quite a wealth of space in there. It's a pretty decent sized tank. And then your build deck is on the side. These little airflow holes you see here, or sorry, these little juice holes that you see here are what actually pulls the juice down and around. They're kind of staggered in positioning from, so you've got like an airflow, juice flow, airflow, juice flow. So the juice pulls down, under, and up into the coils. Really, really cool design. Kind of reminds me of the old, the K-Fun or the Russian 91% designs from a few years back, but on a larger scale. So the other thing that this guy features, it's not necessarily my favorite, it's actually probably one of my gripes about this, is going to be the top fill. It has a similar top fill to like the Moonshot or like the Mage. It has this little cap on the top that you kind of just take off, and it has two little holes right there for you to... The only issue I seem to run into with this guy is that when I fill it from the top, I notice that it does take a little bit of time to find its equilibrium. So it will leak for a little bit, and then it'll eventually work itself out, and you won't have the leak anymore. But in that process, you lose a couple mils of juice. So what my buddy Brian Weber from Mohawk Vapors suggested is that you actually use the bottom fill method. I've found, and Brian has found, that this just works better. I like to take it apart from the bottom, fill it up that way, and then actually screw the cap on from the bottom, and then flip it over. When I fill it up this way, I don't get leaks at all, and I don't really have any problems like I do with the top fill. So just a little gripe. I don't personally mind, because being that it's a 10 milliliter juice reservoir, you're not going to be filling that thing up very often unless you're really chiefing through stuff. So, I mean, it's a give and take, but personally, I don't really see that as that big of an issue. A lot of the older tanks back in the day did have a bottom fill method, so it's not too different for the vape industry, really. Really cool. I'm personally really surprised that nobody else did it this way until now, but one of my favorite things about this guy for sure is the build deck in it. The build deck is a 19.1 millimeter velocity style build deck, and you don't have to screw anything in. You'll notice that you take this bottom ring off like I just did here, and you can pull the whole deck out of the tank just like that. And this guy's pretty grimy. I've been using it for a few days, but you can just take this little deck right here and you can screw that into your device, and you can fire it, you can build on it, you can test on it. And I think this is awesome. I think this is super awesome. I just noticed yesterday that I believe it's brosciencevapes.com is actually selling different style decks as well for this guy. So if you're not a fan of the velocity style, they've got a series style, they've got a postless style, and the tank as well. If you don't like the huge 9 milliliter reservoir, you can go with they have a super little stubby kit that's I think like 3 to 5 mils, or you can go huge with it and you can get like a full 30 mil kit that just like puts a whole 30 mil bottle into your tank at one time. So you can really design this guy around you. You can kind of design your perfect tank using their parts and stuff. And I really like what they're trying to do with that, considering that it's such a hefty tank and such a nice piece of hardware that I actually could see myself using this for a year or two and not having problems with it. So, you know, at that point, sure, I'd love another deck style. I'd love another reservoir style, you know. So you can expand on the thing you already have, and it makes it this kind of modular device, which is really fun. Another thing I'd like to note, even though the build deck isn't the biggest guy ever, it does have 2.5 millimeter post holes. So you can get some pretty decent sized builds in there. I've personally got like a 6 wrap triple core, 26 inner, 34 outer at 3.5 millimeters, wrapped around 3.5 millimeters in here right now. It's running about like 0.14. So it's running pretty low. I normally use these types of builds for like comps and stuff, and when I'm doing tricks, and it's consistent, it's hot, it's flavorful, and it fits in here. I don't have any kind of impeding or anything. It just pops right in, and it's really nice. And the last thing I'll say about the deck to finish kind of gushing about it is the space above where you actually slide the deck in. I've seen styles like this before with the Moonshot and other similar atomizers. And what I've noticed is, even though they have a very similar size deck to what you're looking at right here, the top of the actual chimney where it'll slide up in tends to be angled or just rounded, and it tends to touch on these corners when you try to put a bigger build, you know, like this one in there. And I don't run into that with this. I don't have that problem. Whenever I slide this guy up here, as long as I keep my coils about even with the post height or a little lower, I don't really run into any type of touching or shorts or problems like that, which is really nice. Leads to a lot less problems with building. It has a peak insulator, 10 millimeter wide bore drip tip. This is the, like I said before, the special edition blue one. So it does look a little prettier than normal, but it is the same specs and everything. And when you buy the original one, even though it doesn't come with the pretty blue stuff, it does come with replacement glass, O-rings, screws, and an Allen key. I'm pretty sure that the original one actually has a glass tank, but one thing I will note is with these acrylic, pretty looking ones, they're acrylic obviously, so this is like a plastic. It's not really a glass type of thing. That being said, it's a thick ass piece of plastic, so you don't really, I haven't run into any problems with the old tank splitting issues and stuff back in the day like you used to have with this plastic. I vape a lot of cinnamon, I vape a lot of orange, I vape a lot of the stuff that used to make that happen, and I don't run into that with this at all. All right, so now that I've gone into a little bit more detail about the specs of the tank and how it works and all that good stuff, I'm going to show you guys how it works. But if you have any questions about how it works, the specs, where you can order it, that kind of thing, feel free to drop a comment in the comment section below and ask us, let us know, and we'll try to get feedback to you as soon as possible. And yeah, let's go ahead and show you guys how this thing works. All right, guys, so I'm going to do a little chain vaping on this guy, just to kind of show you how it functions when you continuously vape on it.